6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Liftoff of Aries 1M. Testing concepts for the future of new rocket design.
Being a leader and leading a team is a lot like a rocket ship. Doesn't that sound kind of cool? I was playing around with other metaphors like buildings with columns and intersecting circles and stair steps and line and box charts. And they were all fine, but frankly a little bit boring. And they didn't convey to me the idea of the tremendous possibility of achievement quite the way a rocket does.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And liftoff at dawn. The dawn of Orion and a new era.
Now you know a rocket has a payload to deliver. Its crew headed to a space station or a satellite to put into orbit or drop a rover onto Mars or something. These are like the purpose of an organization, what it's supposed to do. Then you have the structure of the rocket itself, which is basically a lot of oxidizer and fuel. These are like the people and resources that when combined propel the rocket. You have the engine where all the magic happens, and then you have the structure and systems that hold the whole thing together. Today we're going to talk about the engine, because without a good engine, we're not going anywhere. To me, the engine is like the leadership environment in an organization. It's in the engine that the fuel and oxidizer are combined with a spark to create thrust. And that thrust is directed out through the rocket nozzles to make the rocket fly. But to work right, the nozzles have to be pointed in the right direction. They have to be properly aligned and balanced. What is it that aligns the rocket nozzles in an organization? One word: trust. If people trust one another, they can work in confidence, focus on the task to be done, and get the ship underway. Without trust, you have the opposite: distrust, suspicion, paranoia. And now the energies of the team are focused not on delivering the payload, but on watching their backs. If there's no trust, there's no thrust. How does a leader establish trust within his organization? By setting the example, by being trustworthy himself. Trust then is the greatest single thing the leader must have in order to be effective. Okay, you say, great. I've heard of trust. It's even the first of the 12 Boy Scout laws, probably not by mistake. But what is it exactly? How do I get some? What do I need to do? Well, here's the thing. Trust has to be earned. You can't demand it or order it or go buy a 12-pound bag of trust and stick it on your desk or load it into your backpack. It doesn't work that way. People give trust, and only to other people they think are trustworthy. Okay, so what does it take to be trustworthy as a leader? I think it boils down to 6 things which conveniently all start with the letter C. And they're like the 6 nozzles of our organizational rocket ship. I think one of the names of those rocket nozzles is candor. Just like the nozzle needs to be pointed straight down so that the rocket will fly, my leader needs to be straight with me. He needs to tell it like it is. If he's willing to be open with me and share the truth with me and the other members of my team, he's trusting me with that knowledge. And in turn, I may trust him a little more. The leader also needs to be open to hearing candor from others. He has to be willing to consider different viewpoints and not live in his own little bubble. If he's willing to squarely face the world around him, see it as it is and deal with it accordingly, he might earn a little bit of my trust. Sometimes when I'm in a quandary about what to do in a situation, I think the best guidance is start with the truth and go from there. A trustworthy leader is also committed. Whatever thing we're supposed to be doing, I have to believe that my leader is at least as committed to it as I am. If he's all in and willing to make the effort, I'm much more likely to be too. If he has a track record of folding up the tent and moving out the minute the weather changes, I'll start to wonder what I was working so hard for. He has to have the courage to stick it out. But if I see he's committed, then count me in. That rocket nozzle needs to stay pointed in the correct direction at all times. If it starts wandering around, there's no telling where this rocket will end up. And I don't want to be on board to find out. Another way for a leader to earn my trust is to be competent, to know his job and do it. That doesn't necessarily mean he knows everything about everything, but he needs to be good at what he does, do it when it needs to be done, and always be striving to get better at whatever it is he's supposed to be doing. If the rocket nozzle is not competent enough to withstand the forces coming from the engine, it's going to fail and let the whole system down. A trustworthy leader also cares. And I'm not talking about himself, I'm talking about the opposite of that. He cares about others, and he cares about the vision and the purpose of the team. He cares about them more than he cares about himself. He's not the first one in the chow line. He puts himself last to make sure everyone else is taken care of before him. Care means he makes the effort to know his people by name, what their needs and skills and abilities are. He seeks to understand them. He listens carefully and attentively. He finds ways to help them get better. He trains them to be leaders, gets them the resources they need, passes the credit on to them when things go right. He also cares enough to take the time to correct them when they need correcting. Finally, it comes down to the golden rule. Do unto others what you want done to you. A trustworthy leader also needs to be consistent. First, that means he walks the talk. His actions are consistent with his words. He does what he says he's going to do, and he acts the way he expects others to act. But he's also consistent by taking care of what needs to be done every time. He only promises what he knows he can deliver, and he delivers it every time without fail. Consistency also means treating people fairly and applying discipline and rewards evenly. He's going to be a predictable force I can count on to follow through. That rocket nozzle doesn't need to be working just once in a while, when the conditions are right. It needs to be fully functional all the time, without interruption, even maybe when it's a little inconvenient. In fact, especially when it's inconvenient. If I know you're always going to be there, maybe I'll be there for you too. And finally, a trustworthy leader has to be of good character. I have to know that he's going to make the right decisions for the right reason all the time, whether or not someone's watching, whether or not he thinks he can get away with it, because it's the morally and ethically right thing to do. That rocket nozzle might be a good strong one, but if it's pointing in the wrong direction, it's going to powerfully push us off course, and that's not a ride I want to find myself on. So there are the 6 components of trust that will steer your organizational rocket straight and true. If your people recognize that you as their leader speak and listen with candor, you're committed to the mission, you're competent in your job, you care about your teammates, you're consistent in your actions, and you have the good character to make choices based on what is right, not as what is easy, then you will be well on your way to earning their trust. If you're a new leader, the time to start building that trust is today and every day from now on. For every action you take or action you choose not to take, you're either adding or subtracting to the level of trust you share with everyone around you. The good news is the trust is something you can work on and improve. And in future videos, I'll share some specific ideas and examples of how you can become a better leader by improving trust. If you want to be my leader and show me that this is the kind of person you are, then all I want to know is, where are we going? Because I'm coming with you. Thanks for watching.